Thank you for joining us here on GamblersHockey.com. Jason Hobbick along with the head coach and general manager Derek Lalonde in his office. Derek, let's talk about this weekend. You guys face a tough test in the Team USA U18 team. They're very sound defensively, very good offensively. Talk a little bit about the weekend.
We knew this was going to be a big challenge this time of year. The National Development Program is built to peak at this time of the year. That's exactly what they're doing. They were a very good team. And we had some positives on the weekend. We gave ourselves a chance on Friday night. Probably on a whole, our 16 minutes on Friday was much better than Saturday. We had some timely goals against us that took away on some momentum for us on Friday. And then on Saturday, we got penalty trouble. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And a lot of that is a credit to them. They're a big, fast, strong team. There's a little frustration on our end, but we spent almost the entire period when it was all said and done killing. And you're just not going to do that against a very good team. We got a lot of our good players tired, fatigued throughout with killing, and that's where it's at. So I really think we're going to be better for it. As a coach, I knew this was going to be a positive, just playing them at this time of the year, and I think we're going to be better for it going forward.
Talk a little bit how this helps the development of the younger players like a Nick Schmaltz, a Jake Lindhart, Gustav Olofsson, guys that are really young. Did you think games like this, does this help their development?
Yeah, you have to elevate your game. We're going to have to elevate our game to win a Clark Cup. And we knew this was a situation we'd have to elevate our game. And a lot of it, the reality of having Brandon Kirk, a 20-year-old, our strongest D-man, Barrett Kaib, a 19-year-old, probably our second strongest D-man. Then the fact Christian Wolanin went out early, a bigger, stronger kid. It was a really tough matchup, their forwards versus our young D. We had two affiliate D that were playing their first and second games of the year at this level against competition like that. It was probably too much for them. Now at the same time, there was valuable minutes for those players and just valuable competition. It's, again, going to give us a lot going forward on where we have to be.
Now, talking a little bit about the games, I saw Tanner Pond on the power play penalty kill. Got to see a lot of minutes there on Saturday night. Was that a credit to how hard he was playing at the end of that game that you guys gave him a couple extra minutes?
Well, you're going to see, even down these last 5 minutes, we'll probably start leaning towards what we're going to do to think we have to be successful, the kind of lineup we're going to play to be successful in the playoffs. And Tanner was acquired because we think he's going to be valuable in the playoffs, and he's going to be playing a lot of minutes. And we're still filtering in some affiliate players. We're still going through some different lineups right now, and you saw a lot of that on the weekend. Down the stretch here, you're going to see us kind of going with the lineup and the personnel in certain situations that gives us the biggest chance. We think gives us the biggest chance in the playoffs. And Tanner's going to be that kind of guy. He's going to be an important penalty killer for us. He's going to be probably our third-line center playing a lot of minutes. Then he might get a little net front presence, puck retrieval kind of guy on the power play also.
I saw Frederick Olsson, too, playing a little bit on the power play. Talk a little bit about his development, and do you feel like he earned those minutes, or do you think that was more for development?
No doubt for development. You saw it. We played Rich Gusevich on the weekend, RJ Gusevich. We played Cam Hackett and Cole on Friday. Our goal every year is to be in a position where we can win a Clark Cup. Obviously, we were fortunate enough to win a Clark Cup championship last year. We've put ourselves in position, second place in the East right now, with 5 games remaining going to playoffs to give us a chance to win a Clark Cup. And next year is going to be no different. We feel we have a chance to be towards the top of this league yet again. And sometimes you have to take a step back for a step forward. Those minutes are very valuable. Cam Hackett was a very frustrated kid on Friday night. He got humbled. Frederick Olofsson struggled with competing against the size, the strength, and the speed against the U18s this weekend. But my message to those guys, this is going to be very valuable. This was on purpose. These minutes are going to be very valuable to what you're going to be for us going forward. And again, we look out for the present, but we're always looking out for the future, and that's why we've been where we have been this last half decade towards the top of this league.
The size and strength of Team USA, it looked like they were able to crash the net a little bit harder, the ability to stay out in front. How much of a challenge did that pose for our team this weekend?
Well, everything happened a little bit quicker. The other 14 teams in our league, there's a little more time and space, and that there's the defined line between being successful and not being successful this weekend. Offensively, we give our guys a lot of offensive freedom. They have some success. There's many times a 2-on-1 might develop, an offensive play out of the corner that simply with their speed, taking away time and space, wasn't there, and our guys had to adjust. It was the same thing defensively. Even we have some pretty good momentum. We kill off a couple penalties towards the end of the period on Saturday. We come out early. There's a 2-on-1 materializing for them, and I think our D had the urgency that we were going to catch up to the play, and it just happened a little bit quicker. Right up back of our net, the game's over at that point. So I think it was, again, we had to elevate our challenge. We had to elevate ourselves for the challenge, and we'll be better going forward, hopefully starting tomorrow night.
And there's no question that this Team USA team could win probably 56 of 64 games, even 60 of 64 games as this team played the entire season of the USHL. Big credit to their program. How do you regroup the troops, though, after two tough losses going into a Tuesday night game against Waterloo?
Well, we have to stay positive. My one concern with taking the two losses this weekend was being fragile, because we were right there. And we are close as a team. We still have some things to get better at if we want to give ourselves a chance in the playoffs, but we are close, and we're going to need a spark going forward. We're going to need some success. We tried to stress being positive after Saturday's loss, tried to reflect on some of the positives, tried to make them understand why we were not successful on the weekend, and relate that to some success going in tomorrow. But it's not going to get easier. We have a Waterloo team that by most people were picked to win this league at the beginning of the year, and they won two very big games in the weekend. They seem to be playing well right now. And then we're going to face Muskegon in the last 4 games, who we're going to be battling possibly for that last playoff spot, and a team we could be facing in the playoffs. So, again, we have to reflect on the positives, and hopefully we're mature enough to come out not fragile and put that behind us, get a spark somehow on Tuesday, and put this behind us.
Now, one last question for you, Derek. Now, this past weekend's games were actually decided a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken, and that's really a credit to what your coaching staff and what other coaching staffs have done here in Green Bay, that they wanted this test before they went into international play. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, well, going into the scheduling matrix, every team puts some dates they want to secure, and hopefully get secured by the league. And for us, it turns into being a moneymaker. We want our Thanksgiving Eve game. We want our New Year's Eve game. We want a couple Sunday afternoon games where we know we're going to draw well and make some money. The U.S. team, the only game they requested, the only series they requested was playing their last 2 games at Green Bay before moving on to the World Championships. Last year, they did the same thing. They came in here last year, and they beat us on a Friday night, and that's a team, we lost 9 games all year, and they beat us on a Friday night. We elevated our game, beat them in overtime on Saturday, and I think it took us to another level and led us to a Clark Cup championship, and I think they'll be the first ones to feel that it took them to another level, led them to a world championship, and I think they were looking for the same mentality this year by playing us, and again, I like where they're at. I think they're going to be very successful going to look to repeat at the World Championships.